Oh, hello, hello. Seems to be live. It's kind of weird. I didn't look at the right corner.
Yeah.
The scratchy man here is back, So,
The hobo.
yeah,
I went gold prospecting today.
yeah. Where's your hat, man?
Yeah, that's right.
If
I
if
yeah,
if
I
you
lost it.
if you're going the whole prospector route, you have to have a hat. For
Yeah, that's
God's
true.
sake.
That's true. I'll get one
Talking
for
about
next stream.
now you were talking about it. So I was watching a because we do talk about what we watched before. If you're not aware, people. This comic, we talk comics, don't worry about it, but you have to
At
bear
some
with
point,
us.
if you're lucky.
Yeah, you have to bear with us because we do like to talk
We'll
about what we
decide
watch.
what we talk about around here.
Anyway, so talking about prospectus, I've been watching. I don't know if you watch or your wife has watched, but I was watching Yellowstone quite a bit. Have you
I've
aware?
seen little clips. I
Yeah, are
want to
you?
watch the whole thing. It looks really good.
So it's really cool, but highly recommend. Now we came up with two offshoots, so it's older,
Wow.
so prior history. So Yellowstone is very modern, so modern. What is this? Oh, what why I'm blanking the place where they are at Yellowstone. Where is it? And fuck,
I'm not
what's
sure
wrong
where
with
it's
me?
set.
Anyway, in west of the country.
Okay.
Anyway, so but I watched 1883, which is offshoot family. So the beginning of the family,
Yeah.
and it's like spot on. It's
Oh
really
yeah.
dark. It's like you kind of forget. Like I always like westerns, but
Yeah.
I tend to forget how bloody and how gruesome it is of the time. Nobody was talking to each other. They were just shooting. The minute you see somebody in front of you, you shoot them first and then talk if
Yeah.
you survive, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it was the story of this like Dutton family, which is what Yellowstone is all about.
Okay.
The beginning of family finding this goal of finding the land and basically finally settling down. Um, yeah. So and the funny enough about
Hello,
Texas,
Gore.
they are traveling from Texas to go all the way to that area of where Portland is. What is that state called?
Oregon.
Yeah, or like close to it where it has those mountains. Anyway, so it's
Right.
beautiful, really beautiful place.
Washington
um
State.
yeah, I think so. Idaho is Idaho State, actually. I think it's
Okay,
Idaho.
Idaho. Yeah.
My American is very, like things I when I watch it I remember, but of course when we're doing live stuff I
Yeah.
fucking forget everything. But I do apologize. But anyway, and they just traveled for Texas to that beautiful land of dreams. And was about 350 people traveling. So we're part of those prospectors, like who going to from Europe, traveling in America, finding freedom because the freedom in Europe it was in that time in those times. And yeah, so it's really well told. It's really
Yeah.
dark, lots of death, of course. It's a proper
Awesome.
Wild West scenes,
As it should
beautiful
be. Yeah.
scene, yeah, beautiful scenery, and it's just like them traveling, trying to survive, where they trying to just go through the streams of water, and people can't swim, and that things really bad happens, so it's just like absolute like unawareness of what America can bring you up, and not only
Right.
people you meet, but you meet nature. And it's more told about story about this girl of a family who was just wild, like part of the family, a girl who was basically not living to the what they expect of a girl to be. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
She wanted to be a cowboy, blah blah blah. She loves horses and she likes the freedom of the nature and all that stuff. I just finished it and it was beautifully told, 10 episodes, really well told. It's
Yeah.
really kind of like, as I say, sad. But I think I recommend you start with that because it's the beginning of a family rather than just go Cosmos,
Right.
Kevin Costner way, of the new stuff, which where I started, but that's how they originally started anyway. So, oh, hello, Miss O.
Hello,
Like I
Miss
said,
So.
and then hello, Go Vidal. Yeah, so yeah, if you haven't watched it, highly recommend start from that. They also have a series of the same family, 1923. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
1883, 1923, and then Yellowstone. So
Okay.
as much as the Thailand goes, and 1923 is also interesting to see what happens in the beginning 1900s in America as well, and also one of the because they have sons, and one son is in Africa and is trying to travel back to home, and it takes him a year and a half just to find the passage via the pond. Do you know what I mean? To get him from Africa to come back to America. So it's fascinating, really cool. If you like cowboys and stuff, I highly recommend to start watching those 1883s. Hello, Donald Rex.
Hello, Donald Rex. Hello, AFPC.
Panels. We're talking Yellowstone. Montana, that's the place. Bloody hell.
Montana, yes, of course.
Yeah, so beautiful, absolutely fantastic places they wanted to go. And the Yellowstone in the Yellowstone National Park is stunner. I mean, picture perfect for like, painting, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's absolutely fantastic to look at. So yeah, really cool.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, I wrote them both down. I'll check them out for sure because I'm really curious to get into Yellowstone because I've seen some clips. My mom was watching it. She loves it. This woman at the office was watching it and she was raving about it as well too. So it's it's something that I'm very curious about for sure.
Because must come in the side piece. It's opening carry here. Då kommer jag köpa hon as one in his truck.
Yeah.
I open carry a book.
Yeah.
It's very brave of you, Gorvital. I think book it,
But the thing is, though, is it a Bible that's hollowed out that has a pistol inside, Gorvidal? That's what I want to know.
That's like a preacher's saving grace, by the way. If you he hasn't Terrence hasn't read Preacher yet. I don't know when he's gonna.
I haven't finished it. No, I haven't finished it. No.
Well, it's not fit. You haven't read it then. If you haven't finished it, you don't have a clue.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Because the ending is a sweet point of that book for sure.
Yeah.
It doesn't pull the punches all the way back to then.
Go to my trusty notes here. I'll make a note.
Yeah. Cheers.
I'm sure it's at the library. Within 6. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
I'll send a request.
Yeah. So what you watched?
I didn't watch much this week, but we did watch last night. My son and I watched. We watched Blood of a Poet, which is Jean Cocteau from 1930, and that was the one that apparently there was potentially some influence. Skinamarink may have taken some influence, like visually, from that movie. There were some comparisons done by Harry Nordlinger, I think, on Twitter, who's a comic artist. Vacuum Decay is his comic. So there was comparisons side by sides, and I could see some of that. It was pretty good. It was 51 minutes. It was on Criterion Channel. It was cool to see. It's like, so Chien Andalou is 1 year earlier, which is kind of like the infamous surrealist film. And then 1930 is when Cocteau does this kind of art piece, right? So it was cool to see. It's just so fascinating to see stuff that was filmed almost 100 years ago and see these people moving and interacting, and it's just super cool. The movie itself was okay. I was kind of drifting in and out because I was tired, so we didn't end up watching anything else. But it was cool to see, and I could see some of the comparisons. Overall, it's a much different movie though than Skinamarink. But thankfully, Criterion has a ton of stuff, So I love Criterion, so it was nice to be able to just pull that up on the TV and check it out. It's just crazy to think about these people from almost 100 years ago. The Pusher films. Yeah, I've heard of those.
And then he says John Cocteau did the old film portion of Wilson Plays.
Yeah, he absolutely did.
And talking about that show once again, to surprise what surprises me the most, they managed to pull all Hollywood cream de la creme. So 1923 has Harrison Ford plus Helen Mirren as the main actors. Yeah. And
they're in 1923?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
wow.
In 1883, you have Tom Hanks appears out of the blue for a little bit. And Billy Bob Thornton appears there for a little bit. Yeah. The main character, the main guy, this old dude, Sam, what is his name?
Sam Elliott?
Oh, yes, Sam Elliott is the main character there.
Badass.
So he's
guy.
badass, and he is being as a cowboy, the old, like he has this mustache up to here, like all overgrown. And there's a couple of actors which I've not heard of it, but as I say, this show is pulling some really badasses, for TV shows, so the TV shows is the one things.
All three
Oh,
Punisher films. Wow. AFPC.
wow.
Hitting it hard. Hitting it hard.
Oh, I'll talk about Punisher a little bit, about a new Punisher book, which is actually
nice.
surprised the shit out of me. Not like in a crazy bit, but yeah. So yeah. Wow. So it's good. I went to cinema finally.
Shut up. Did you go to see Ant-Man?
Yeah.
Hey, shit.
So finally, after 3.5 years, I went to cinema.
Amazing.
And we went to this fancy one. It's called a Curzon Cinema. It's apparently a very old cinema chain, which is established in London, Mayfair, in like early 900, I don't know, whatever, 50s maybe. So they have this established shopping mall in the area in Oxford, and they have cinema there. And we sat, and it was beautiful because it was quiet. It was early morning. This is the only time we were able to do so.
Yeah.
And the Kang, the man, has kicked the ass in the movie for sure.
Awesome.
But I'm not going to say anything else. There's lots of interesting. Yes.
Yeah.
I could pick on it though, which is, it's
pick on
any
movie
generally.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll say to you is, I don't know if it's a spoiler, but it felt.
I'm not worried about spoilers. Don't worry about it.
No, but it felt quite serious for Ant-Man movie. To be honest, they took that to a very different what you expect Ant-Man movie to be. It wasn't it at all. It was much more serious tone to it. Visually, if you're gonna go, I highly recommend people, if they can take 3D, go watch in 3D, because that will stimulate your brain quite nicely. If you have like a couple of those, it's legal. If it's legal, by the way, it's
legal.
Not legal.
Weed's
it's
legal
not,
here, so I'll
It's not legal here, so But
smoke it anyway, people.
So if it's legal, go have that and go watch Ant-Man movie, and I think you will highly appreciate. But
oh man,
the beauty of the
3D then.
Kang, the character and the actor, superb, absolutely fantastic. I think of course, he was a star of the show. But there was a couple twists and turns, and one of the twists and turns is the MODOK.
Yeah.
But I'm not spoiling, because people used to see that shit, and I was like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Seeing MODOK in the trailer was like, "What the fuck? I can't believe that."
Also, if he was in the trailer, so it's not really surprising. But he has probably one of the best scenes in the movie as well, which is good for him.
Wow.
No, I'm not gonna spoil it as well. As I say, don't spoil. It's kind of surprising for us. We were like, sitting and we're absorbing. It was kind of intense as well. Very like, it actually had lots of glimpse of like Tron, Disney Tron from like.
Josh, really?
Because of the scenery also had Star Wars like taste to it.
Yeah.
The music was used kind of like there's one scene where the guy comes down from the ship to meet somebody, and the movie just like scream like, "Tron, are you doing Tron now?" So they had the snippets of inspiration, I guess, picked out of that, and they used the music like similar to the Tron.
Josh.
So not the old one, but the new Tron, which
still
Daft Punk's soundtrack, which blew my head away when it came out anyway. So so something
that's the thing. Like I've said it before, like that's what I want out of these movies. I want something visually just fucking give me some insane visuals, man. You have the technology, you have the money, you have the comics to pull from for imagery. Like give us something as a theater experience. That's and again, from looking at the trailer, that's the stuff that excites me the most. Like that world that they go into and those visual elements. I think it's just going to be a total trip.
I think the best part of the movie also is the color schemes they chose.
Yeah,
it really worked well in the big screen, especially. I can't really do 3D. I mean, I watched a couple of times, but when you wear glasses and you have to put on top of another glasses, it's just like absolutely
it's a bit of a
nonsense.
pain.
Yeah. So I never even we even thought about it. We went 2D straight away because just experience cinema, but that's what we wanted, So after that long to be in cinema, it felt really actually good and serene. People were really nice there as well, whoever there. The cinema had like these tables and stuff where you could just have your own, like in the coffee in like that kind of thing you don't see, because usually, and we didn't really have coffee, but just as I say, as an option, alcoholic options as well, they're available
Yeah.
for you because they had this like nice fancy bar and all that shit. So yeah, it was very interesting. So it's probably the one cinema now we will be partaking to go into because it just feels nice. The seats are reclining to your own need, which is exactly what you want. Not like those, like, and you're like, come on, man, come do it. And spaces were absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Which is, as for me, as a person who hasn't been cinema for that many, couple of years due to all the covers and stuff, it feels really cool to just feel that, like think about that as well.
Great.
So yeah, I'm looking forward for you to see it so we can just like plainly.
Yeah, I can't wait. Yeah, we're gonna try to go
obliterate our opinions about it. Yeah,
we're gonna try to go in the next couple of weeks because I really want to see it in the theater, so I don't want to miss it. And it's kind of our ritual with the family. We always end up going. So
yeah, I think, as I say, visually there's plenty of action as well, and stuff. And Michelle Pfeiffer character, will be interesting take. I don't know where they're taking her to in the Marvel universe. She has interesting things happening with her background.
Right.
So yeah, fantastic. Let's keep talking about it. Even now, I think I even like it more. But the Kang, really, I loved it. His ghetto was superb.
Nice.
The way when he puts the mask on, absolutely fantastic.
Oh.
It looks really cool on him. It just changes his like looks like a Kang from comics. That statue which you barely can see. The toy action figure, it looks exactly like that kind of
Mine's up there too somewhere.
Yeah. So yeah, really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting.
Pleased. Yeah. Cool. Okay, we can talk comics now. Sorry, people. You wasted a little bit of time. But you can kick off if you want.
Sure. I'll do an easy one that there won't be much to say about it, but let's just get it out of the way.
Oh, okay.
This week was
Doctor Strange,
the final issue. So issue number 4 of Fall Sunrise. Tradmore and his wife, who I will get her name in a second here. We can give proper credits. Heather Moore is her name. So Tradmore and his wife Heather Moore, who's the colorist, giving us the final issue.
Oof.
Like,
look at fuck. That's
dude.
Good.
Get the fuck out of here. It's mental. It's just a stunning comic. I am so in love with this. I don't know how much she's colored. I don't know how much he's helping her with it. I would like to imagine not at all. And she's just got this natural talent because it's fucking gorgeous. And the way, look at this panel here. There's so much kind of talk about psychedelic and just beautiful images and beautiful. It's just, my God, I kid you not. Yeah, it does. It's going to get, so let's do this actually before I go more about this. So let's talk about this. So this is Silver Surfer Black. So Doctor Strange is getting this treatment. So there's the comparison when you're looking at Treasury. That's how much bigger this is going to get collected. And I think that comes out
August, you said. Yeah.
Sorry, what?
You said August.
Yeah, August. Yeah. So I pre-ordered it from my shop already to make sure that I get a copy. So that's gonna come out then. And I would highly, again, don't worry about the fucking story. Just get the book because this art is like nothing I've seen before. There, there's a couple of things. If there was an artist that was meant for Doctor Strange, I think it's Tradmore. And if there was a comic that was meant for T. Fuller, this is the fucking book. This just hits all of those notes for me personally as a fan of art. Like these pages, I for real, I sit and I flip, fuck the plot. Drunken sailor. I sit with this book and I make noises out loud as I turn the pages and stop. And as soon as I finish reading it, I end up going back to the beginning and just flipping through it. Like, look at this. Yeah. Silver Surfer Black was convoluted, and that wasn't him writing. That was Donny Cates writing.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it was very convoluted. I totally agree. That's why you've just got to let go of the story, because you're not here for the story. And it's the same with this one. It is so complicated. I think I know what's going on. I don't really know the point of it. I honestly, though, I really don't care, because this is just stunning. There's some like even almost like Druillet kind of vibes in this. They're a little more softer edged Druillet and more rounded, but there's some similarities, and these colors just explode off the page here. It's really, really amazing work. The other thing is I can't wait for the collected edition, because you go from a page like this, and then when you turn the next page, try to do this on camera, you get this horse shit. And it's like, so what the fuck, man? It's just, and again, I understand it. I totally get it. They're a big company. There's no point in complaining about it. That's what they're going to do. But it really does interrupt the flow of a book like this. So I think that's the other bonus of getting the Treasury edition when it does come out. You're just going to get the book itself. And we'll see what they do. Oh, yeah, dude. Look at this. And then changing to these cooler colors. So having these kind of like reds and kind of darker colors, and then this explosion of like these blues and yellows, and it's stunning. Yeah, I mean, I won't show you every single page, but I loved this book. This is the one that was getting me to the comic shop on Wednesdays at like 12 noon or 1 in the afternoon to make sure that I get copies. I ended up getting a second cover as well too, just cause again, supporting the book and stuff. But this is such a good book that even if you haven't seen the single issues, honestly, it's one of those where I would say just pass on the single issues and just wait for the Treasury, because it is coming out. It's not, it's coming out. It's been officially announced. So wait for that oversized and get that one instead. You won't have to deal with the bullshit of the ads. You can see it all in one kind of book collected and just soak in that beautiful Tradmore art. And I hope that now that he's done Silver Surfer and Doctor Strange, I'm hoping that he's still having talks with them and that he does something else. I'd love to see him do, I don't even know what, just something. Honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing him do based on the strength of that short Spider-Man story that I showed months ago now, I would love to see him do maybe a Spider-Man miniseries. Might be kind of fun, where he could play with Spider-Man moving across the pages and stuff. So use more of his skills with like movement and motion and action scenes. Yeah, the story, and that's the thing. It's so convoluted and so complicated that I don't think there's much there. He's got a ways to grow with storytelling for sure. But if he keeps drawing like this, man, write whatever you want, because honestly, I'm on board.
Hey, Jackie.
Jackie, how's it going?
Yeah, so it's definitely nice that he's gonna. I would want to do him to do Doctor Doom.
That would be cool.
Because Doctor Doom, don't forget, he's only not about science; it's also magic now.
Yeah,
I'll talk about
for sure.
Talking about Doom. I'll talk about Doom now as well. Not now, but I'll talk in today. But talking about superheroes, now that your marvelous, beautiful art, stunning visual things, but it's as good as it gets for a big two.
Yeah.
So I want people who likes. It says Harlequin, but if you like Poison Ivy, you should get this volume because it screams and talks more about Poison Ivy than Harlequin. Harlequin here as a part of like helping hand towards Poison Ivy. Poison Ivy takes the center stage, and I think it's one of the best for me what I've read. So I haven't read much of the Poison Ivy because there was not really much going on with her, especially if she has her single book. But this animated series / production with going into a comic book format as well is beautifully done. I absolutely loved it. So the creators of this is T. Franklin, the writer, Max Sarin, and Eric Owen. Owen is the artist, and Max Sarin is from Finland, which is I didn't know that before. which is great. This is first volume of this. It contains, I think, 6 issues. Or wait, where I'm going. Yeah, first 6 issues. And the art is absolutely fantastic. It's hilarious as well, because you have those scenes which is artist is portraying really well. It doesn't take itself seriously most of the time, but it has its own moments later on in a couple of issues. As you know, I've been drawing things what I've read, so I had managed to draw this week, and this is my take to this creators. So this is me drawing.
That's cool.
This panel here.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So I really like the expressions, and it just screams them so well. I did wanted to include him, but I didn't run out of paper. It's quite a tiny piece of papers in here. So Poison Ivy changes her mind, and her kite man fiance dumps her. And of course, Harlequin has feelings for them, and they just fully go on this that they love. Kind of like have feelings for each other, and it's really well emotionally portrayed in this one. It has plenty of beautiful panels, and I think it's definitely true to itself, to the TV show, and or what you see, but also it has its own moments. The Catwoman is fantastic. So you see all the girls of DC coming here to help, and they come in to help them, and Commissioner Gordon is gone mad. He doesn't care. He's throwing grenades. He wants to kill Harlequin. He's so pissed off. He's treading the line. Even the Batman saying, Gordon, relax, man. You can't do this. And he's gone a little bit mad. So, of course, there's also Hush appears in here for some reason, because they went into this restaurant and he decides that, she's so beautiful. Like Harlequin was so beautiful. Pamela went crazy, and the plants around her hair went crazy as well. It's really good. It has really good, like I said, laughable moments. Scenes are fantastically drawn. And I think it's one of those really good comics from DC with the characters who people always wanted to have the stories told by. And you see the little stuff, like a background for which Poison Ivy really takes, I say, the scene and the storyline. And it's really nice to see what she struggled with. And also you have this new stinky villains, the best poison villain there is, and Ivy's against him, and he's like really proper stinking and making people pass out, and makes Harlequin green just because he was putting into IV for her to change her blood type and stuff like that. Absolutely one of the best things of DC with female characters I read. There's Zatanna appearing in here.
Oh, beauty.
There's lots of few things, like even like other female characters as well. There's lots of happening in here, and I highly recommend for people if you want to enjoy DC female based storylines, I highly recommend to watch this, read this, not watch this, read. Oh, actually, you can go and watch the series. The series is great, and also you have extras. Gordon is like proper pissed, man. He's not doing really well. It's really cool. I absolutely loved it. This is extras in the book. This is hardcover edition, volume 1.
Did you say who the artist is? Who's the artist on that again?
Max Aaron.
It's great. It looks really great.
Yeah, it's really good. As I say, so like consistent throughout. And also, what I really like about it is not the glossy paper. It has that tooth to it, which I absolutely love. It doesn't have that screaming gloss when sometimes you get tired of reading. Sometimes with collected editions do have, and this one doesn't. And I absolutely love this. So, surprise, to be honest. I mean, I enjoyed the TV series. I watched first season of it, and I really liked it. But this just had another kick to it, and was absolutely. It was absolutely spot on for creators of like female-based DC, which is what's missing, to be honest. And this is what you want. I always wanted to see in them to be like, have a serious side. And Harley's, it's funny. So Poison Ivy has problems in her head also because of the dump and the feelings for Harlequin, and her conscience are showing Harleen Quinn, so the psychiatrist who's talking to her, is like, you have to deal with your emotions. And she's like, what the, why do I see you? It's like, I don't know, it's your brain.
Right.
So it's just a beautiful moment in here. So T. Franklin is really kicking ass for the storyline. Flows really quickly. As I say, plenty of action as well as funny moments. Nightwing appears in there because they go to Bloodhaven. It has everything, you know, like for DC fans, this should be right up there for you guys to just enjoy it. And that girl appears, as I say, it's just even this girl Electro, something type of a DC. She freezes this like rays of electricity. I don't know whatever is her name. I'm not really familiar, so quite a few old characters, but yeah, really cool. I was thinking at the beginning, like, yeah, it's gonna be just, you know, like, but no, it's really, I really like the Poison Ivy part because I missed her. Like, I don't know, DC comic book seems to be never got her right. They take her to like a supportive character. She never can withstand a. I'm losing my headphones somewhere. Hey, where are you? Anyway, I lost it in my hair. Uh-oh. I can't even hear it. Oh, whatever. I can hear a bit better now. Anyway, so Poison Ivy always been so supportive character, and he never took that to get to her being her like other side. What's make her take why she's having so much problems? Apparently, family issues, daddy issues, big time for her in this iteration of her Poison Ivies, and that's how she became what she is.
Yeah,
and yeah, so it's really cool. As I say, I really thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah. My husband saw this cover and he says, "Really? That's on the cover? They are brave." Like, why? You know what I mean? But maybe it is. But these days, I think you shouldn't be surprised to have these on the covers. You know,
and I think comics has been going that way for a little bit, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But also, don't forget that I mean, in generally now we have this going in, and it looks like really kid friendly. Also, you know, like the art is the colors are so like spot on. But honestly, the show is even darker. I mean, they talk like, you know, kill and slash and blah and joke about death and all that stuff. So it's just, I don't know. It's just, as this first volume, it seems to be they picked up just the right notes for me as a fan of both Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. So, which I really, I'm glad they have this, because I remember I was picking up a Poison Ivy's like I think 6-issue run sometimes, and it never went anywhere. It just went flat. Nobody, it's like take the character to just to another realm. Like Swamp Thing always never got to the point where Alan Moore took him, and nobody knows what to do with him anymore. It's kind of similar to Poison Ivy. Oh, look, it's in the pocket. Cool. I have a pocket.
Good catch,
I had the pocket. Forgot I had the pocket. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it just really works for that. I mean, the expressive faces, the sadness into them, it's just like, yes, it just helps to tell the story, which is really important as well, especially, you know, for those kind of like small story lines they're trying to divulge you, to tell you or to make you read it about. So it's really cool. Yep.
AFPC said earlier just he would like to see Tradmore on a Shade the Changing Man book, and I would fully endorse that. I think that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. So let's get on the horn with DC and get that sorted. And then just on the Batman stuff, it feels like, for me personally, it feels like that animated is really kind of, it's the area more that I'm interested in. I think that's the area where Batman and all the characters work better for me. Because that's the stuff I always end up responding to a lot more, that it feels like they've got I don't know, it's in the wheelhouse of a take on the characters, but it's still sort of unique enough that I think it treats it in not an overly serious way, which I think at this point, because we've had all the serious Batman stories, we've had all the serious comic stories, I feel like that's the territory where these characters kind of grow and live a little bit more, and it ends up appealing to me more so than wanting to read another gritty Batman story where it's another Duke off against the Joker who's maybe gonna, you know, like all that territory that's just been tread on so much. Like once that animated series hit, it brought that new light to the character that they seem to be running with in so many different areas. And this, I haven't read the book you were talking about, but it feels like that still sort of sits in that world a little bit, even though the show might be darker. That book looks like it sits kind of more in that animated series kind of world, you know?
No, but it's really like it shines. The characters basically shine. They're not afraid to portray their feelings and all that stuff. You know, like
Right.
oh, you know, oh me, oh you never knew if Harley, like the people had this idea Harley Quinn has feelings for Poison Ivy all the time. As I remember, was reading those New 52 stuff. People were talking about that stuff. You know, it's just like people were dreaming about having that to be the characters, and now they're actually doing that properly. You know, people questioning why they're doing that now. So it's always never gonna make everybody happy, but it's another take to the characters, and I just really liked it. I think it's a really good job. Fantastic.
Yeah, cool. So since we're now a big 2 weekly chat show, where we just talk Marvel and DC and Batman books, why don't I talk about Batman as well too? I won't say too much about this one. This is the Adventures Continue season 3, because I want to talk about the other one more so. This one I was kind of hesitant because it's the season 3 issue 1 started off really strong. I really liked it, and then this one seems to be kind of a one shot. So I read it, and actually I really liked it. It was still a really good story. It focuses on Harley Quinn as well too, and her and Poison Ivy have broken up. So she's kind of dealing with that. And then there's this woman that Bruce Wayne had dated, but Harley had also known in high school, and they had kind of fooled around as well too. So it was yeah, exactly. Crack goes mainstream. Exactly. It's the mainstream show now. That's it. We're the big 2 24/7. So this was a really fun issue, even though it didn't kind of stick with what I was expecting from the series. I'm glad that I still got it, and I'm going to stick with it because this was enjoyable. And I just wanted to talk. I don't know about the paper quality that you were talking about, but the paper quality in these books, it feels like they're experimenting with a new paper stock, and I love the paper. It's a little closer to that older newsprint, and like you're saying, there's this toothiness to it that I really, really like, and there's a feel to it that's, I don't know, it works for me quite a bit. So I don't know what the deal is, but I say continue to go for it. The one that I did want to talk about, though, that I am just absolutely loving is this is the audio adventures. So I've been trying to get the all red covers. I'll just show you there's issue 1, the all red cover, issue 2. And I just found issue 3 finally at Galaxy the other day. They had it in the back issue bin. Paid a little more for it than I would have liked, but whatever. And then issue number 4. So I read issue 3 and 4, so now I'm fully caught up. I love this book so much. It is such a fun series. Killer Croc is kind of the main character in it. And it's a Killer Croc that's dealt with even differently from the animated series. There is shades of the animated series because there's this doll that is speaking to him. Hugo Strange is in it, but we get a little bit more of the backstory on Killer Croc. When he was a kid, he was always this child. He looked like this, but he was kind of malformed, but he was sort of he was bullied. He wasn't kind of like this. He's not this hardened gangster that we've kind of seen him, or this big dumb oaf that we've seen in the other stuff. It's really, it's sort of like this Frankenstein's monster kind of thing, like this creature with this real sensitivity and stuff. Then there's a side story with a penguin and Robin in here that works really well. The Scarecrow has dug up some dinosaur bones because he wants to get the partially digested mushrooms that are in the dinosaurs to create a new fear serum, which apparently is like 100 times stronger than the one that he already has. The way they portray Batman in here is he's drawn more like the Darwin Cook New Frontier style Batman with the short ears and stuff, which is so great. And the art is, if I didn't say it, Jay Bone. Sorry, let's get the credits here. It's a really, really fun book. So it's Dennis McNicholas is the writer. Anthony Marquis and Jay Bone are the pencilers, and then Jay Bone is the inker, and then of course Dave Stewart on coloring, and Farron Delgado is lettering. So there's your credits there.
Cool.
Yeah, no, Hugo Strange is a great villain for sure, and Hugo Strange made a lot of appearances in the animated series as well too, or maybe not a lot, but he was in the animated series a couple of times as well. And Killer Croc has a really interesting design to him as well. It's every single issue. Reading these back to back was so much fun. It's really nice stuff. And again, it's still that same kind of similar paper stock, right? So it has that toothiness. And then we get these characters that are looking for the sword for Ra's al Ghul. They're kind of his minions. And this sword needs a blood sacrifice to kind of get its full potential. So I feel like it's going to get into some Ra's al Ghul. So the way that it's paced, the different stories, even though there's a number of storylines going on at the same time, it never feels too convoluted. It's really easy to read. It's right in that wheelhouse for me again that I just love. I would honestly, I would strongly recommend this book if you're not reading Batman, or if you're like me and just don't give a shit about Batman anymore. This is the one. Like the Audio Adventures, I think, is the one that you should pick up.
No, I do have number one.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. I mean, I'm talking more to anybody that's listening now.
Okay,
and
sorry.
later
I'm so important.
Is what I mean.
So
But yeah, I know that you're jumping on it as well too. It is it's so much fun. I can't say enough good things about it so far. What's changed in issue number 3 and 4 is there was sort of this kind of there was this sort of narration that was happening in issue 1 and 2 that was it was a little bit comical. I can't quite describe it. It was really taking from those radio dramas. That's kind of dropped in issue number 3 and 4. There isn't that much narration, and we're just going straight into the story. But it still doesn't lose that charm. Yes, Paulo Costa. Yes, absolutely. Crack reading Batman. It's true. That's the apocalypse. One of the tellings of the apocalypse. And there's our Killer Croc talking to his. So he's hallucinating because he's been exposed to this toxin, the scarecrow toxin, I believe, is what the premise is there. But here's Croc as a child, so it kind of digs into his past.
Really nice
there. So
I really like the art in here.
It's so good, and honestly, these all red covers to boot are so great. And I'm really going to try my best. I think this is going 7 issues. I think I'm going to try my best to get all the all red covers for this.
Cool.
So yeah, a real strong contender for one of the best books that I've read this year so far. And I don't mean that, like, I 100% mean that as well too. I'm not just saying it. It is such a fun book.
Yeah. Oh no, man! You mentioning that word.
It didn't disappoint because you knew that you wouldn't like it to begin with, Gore? Is that the...
How many issues so far?
4. There's 4 issues so far.
As far as we know, yeah. Was it as terrible as you hoped, Gore? Yeah, was it? Instead of saying the word of that series, I'll just call it Agas. Agas.
Yeah.
What's that? Agas.
Agas.
Say backwards if you don't.
Yeah.
But it's still going, which is good for you people who ever read Agas. So good for you. Start falling a bit for me in the last few years, but
I hear you. I totally hear you. And I really like, I don't know if I really like his style. So seeing these covers, and because the shop that I go to for some of my pull list, they always have multiple covers, and it's the exact same cover price. I always end up grabbing that one instead because they don't charge any more for it. So
yeah,
they're just usually better than kind of the A cover or whatever. I think.
I mean, I like Aldred. There's some specific stuff I really do enjoy of his, and I think what he actually really passionate about that stands out, screams more for me better Aldred than anything whatever he does it for me big two.
Right.
So yeah. Oh yeah, Madman. There you go. It's yeah. So that's the best.
Yeah, that Madman stuff is fun for sure. Yeah, me and my daughter were reading that together. And that was pretty fun. It was goofy enough. I think she lost interest pretty quickly, but she kind of humored me and kind of listened anyway. But I don't think I thought it might be one of those books that might be really fun for her because it's a little silly, and I don't think she was getting much out of it though.
Okay, I do have some big two. Well,
yeah, here we go.
But I'm not gonna speak now. I'll take a break. So I'm gonna talk about something which I finished the series of, and that is the Book of Forks. So the third volume of this storyline, which is the last one. So Rob Davis have 3 books. And this is the last one. I needed to finish the story, and it didn't disappoint at all. I did not. I did draw. So this is my drawing of this art, and this is the main character of this Book of Forks. He's a creator of this Book of Forks, and that's him. Here, here. And it's absolutely spot on. Honestly, it's the only trouble for me, I have not read the first volume, so kind of a cheat. So I skipped because I didn't realize. I just, when I go to the library, I pick up the things which just catches my eye. But I decided to go for the volume 3 to just finish it off, because I really liked the way the story was told in this really black and white and monochrome style, which really speaks quite a big volume for me, even better because of the storytelling. So we continue where our main guy, and of course I'm going to blank his name now, Cass, something like Cass. Just take word for what it is, because I'm blanking once again. My brain. Anyway, so when I do live chats, it seems to be my no names. So he gets injured by our villain, because he had this communicator in his ear and she plugged it out, and the main villain is this clock. So all the parents, they are subjects like a clocked weather clock. So this is the main villain, and other parents are like a kettle, like pots. So that was a parents or gods or iterations of gods, and it's really it continues really good in a good fashion once again. So he gets injured and he's been sent to this place where he finds it very difficult to communicate anymore. And then he says his name is Castro. So there you go. He told me, thankfully. So Castro is the one who writes this Book of Forks, because he's fascinated by the history and how this world came to be. Every single iteration of the world has its own merits of how, like, it rains knives in one place, another place people die because there's a death clock given to them, and a certain time they will know when they're gonna die, and just they kind of live to the point of that day. Other ones, they explode because they come close to somebody else. It's a kind of like really fully blown up world this Rob Davis has created, and it has intricacies, it has history, and it continues really strongly with this last volume. It's published by Self-Made Hero, which I really like, one of the publishers. And as I say, it continues in a very strong fashion throughout those 2 volumes, which I read. It was more to read because it had extra information about whatever this world has to give for you, and any kind of questions you have maybe asked beforehand, it will be answered in here as well. But what we follow through is how to save Castro from this place by his friends. So the girl, the bottle opener's daughter, the second volume, she is coming after to save him and try to look for him, because they took him to the hospital when this earpiece has been taken away, but they weren't aware that they took him somewhere where nobody can reach them. And it has the characters like, and his mother is a bird. The Castro's mother is a bird, and she escaped her marriage, kind of divorced, but she's going to help them, and she's one of a part of the characters. There's also a bear or bears who are like a gods, and they are having a baby face. So instead of the bear face, you see a baby. So that's why I drew that character here at the bottom, because that's like really fascinates me to see the imaginations of them. So which is like, like you see the whole bear and then the baby face. I don't know how serious you can take it, but it's scary, like those scary movies with the dolls all the time. So that's kind of iteration to this. So this whole book is basically a journey to find Castro and save him. And of course, yeah, it's creepy for sure. And it's a journey to find him and see how if there is a solution to what they're trying to kind of like not to be obliged to do, like die in a certain time because somebody said so. He's supposed to have like this roller coaster of emotions in the other areas. They're trying to break the rules and see it. Another friend of his who's supposed to die, and they helped him to survive in the second volume. His dad was a boat. I don't know, like that's kind of like a fantasy.
Sorry, did you say his dad was a boat?
Yeah.
Okay.
But he unfortunately he died. And they were having this conversation where it's like, well, this is my dad you're talking about, but we need the boat. But then I know he's dead, so he's just the boat now. He's not your dad; it's just the boat. So it's kind of this kind of conversation we had. It's very interesting. It's complicated story to explain fully until you go and grasp the idea. But it's really such a big fantasy-driven story where the characters are endearing. Also, it's very fascinating to see why and who is there. It doesn't fully tell you the whole why and who and which way is going to happen and what happened to our main character. Did he actually survive? Did he have the solution? But what we found out at the end of the story is that he finally finished the book, which was a paramount for the future. So yeah, it's really fascinating. Absolutely fantastic little trilogy. It's a thing which I missed on volume 2. I mean, from volume 2 I started, but still I was able to go through volume 2 to not volume 3 and never get lost really, because there's lots of information has been disclosed.
Right.
So yeah, Rob Davis. Interesting.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so the first one was Motherless Oven. And then the second volume is Can Opener's Daughter, and the Book of Fox is the third volume. So I think it would be really good to read with kids for sure. It has those kind of creepy elements for those different characters, like bears with the baby face. Then you have like monkeys with the same baby face, which is creeps the shell out of me. More, like when you see monkeys.
It doesn't seem too intense though, hey?
No, because it really do help the like horrible scenes portrayed in black and white. Really, does help with that gray as a helper to show the shadows and stuff. I mean that bear.
Yeah.
It's so beautifully to look at. Anyway, it's good. It's good to see the imagination of the person who is basically created this world for us to read, and it's really rich, and it can be told in furthermore volumes if you would want to go for. You know what I mean? Or it seems to be the main character in this volume. We don't know what happens to him for sure. Did he survive? Did he die? Or what happened to him? So maybe it's an open a bit of ending. But yeah, but it's interesting to see where it's like when they born. When they turn 5, they choose their own parents, so they create the parents. And the girl, the Can's Opener's daughter, who basically created this mayhem because she created a villain mother, and then she was by her own choosing. So all of it's escalated to the point where it's like, it's not my fault. I was just like really angry kid, It's
Right,
like, do you not realize you created this? And this is where we are all about, why we having revolution, where people had this like system where they accepting it, where they were suicides, like where if somebody tells you have to die, that's it. You just go and kill yourself.
Right.
Because you done something wrong.
Right.
Or it's your date of departure is all written in history and you can't change that. So yeah, it's really cool. It's as I say, imagination to fullest. So you have like they were driving this pod/car, a father of some other kid they knew. They asked for help for him, and he's like, "Okay, yeah, kids, I will kind of drive you to a place." And he's like, you see the steam kind of engine and all that stuff, and he's talking to you like you would be an adult talking to the kids. It's just this kind of imagination is really fascinates me as well. And as I say, it would be really cool to give that to kids. I think it would just make their imagination even blossom more. I think that's really where you can take your characters to no end and make the story go forward with I don't know, it's just very enjoyable, I guess.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's cool.
So I'm glad I have that read, and I know
that you
that
just got to find volume 1.
I will see if I do want to, because I know all of whatever happened in Mother's Oven.
Yeah.
They already have told me throughout those other 2 volumes what really happened there. So yeah.
That's an interesting, like that's a good thing too. Like it feels sometimes that kind of storytelling can get lost, that you can still jump in at like volume 2 or 3 and still get the gist of what you missed. You know what I mean? Like that's pretty good.
You see, that's the thing. When I found out that there's only 3 volumes, and I started from volume 2, kind of after finishing it, I was like thinking, it is something odd there. It's like there's some grasps, like there's something missing, some information. But then whereas volume 3, it just basically gave me all of it.
Yeah.
Because it has show you all the history, why this came to be, why the gods exist. We don't really even know why gods made kids to make their own parents when you are 5. You're born, they get you like into like the place where you live until 5 years old, and then they tell you go to the factory and tell me how you want your parent to be.
Right.
So some kid chooses a kettle as a parent. Why not? Or something like that. So it's kind of fascinating. So
yeah. Cool.
No.
I find it interesting. Paulo was talking about Wizard being his early English reading comics, and exposure to English comics is pretty interesting. And then being like Allred and what did he say? Allred and Nexus. Madman and Nexus. Sorry. Being and then X-Force and X-Static. That's pretty amazing. So as much as the problems that maybe Wizard started contributed to, it's good that they also kind of got people into comics in a different way too.
Yeah. So yeah, I just like to see how people take the imagination to a different level.
Yeah,
where
totally.
No matter which object it is, you can make them into characters, which is what Disney really also, let's say, gave to us from the, like that, the people who, like, you see the Beast and the Beauty, the final, like, the example from my watching the first like Disney cartoons, animated stuff, where a candlestick becomes a character,
right?
And a pot and a teacup is a mother and a child. The cracks in the teacup, and he's like, oh, he had an accident. And then you have a clock as a character as well, who is grumpy as hell because why not? And that's kind of stuff, imagination, which just blossoms for people, for kids, to see. It's very important, because I think that just makes the reading part element of enjoying what you basically see in words will become your imagination much more enhanced, which I didn't have because I wasn't really interested in reading at all when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Because I felt books were a chore and I could not understand it. I didn't have the imagination enough to get, my brain wasn't exploring enough in that kind of world where I could just have my imagination working for me really well.
Yeah, you needed some other kind of entry point, basically.
Okay, my speakers is gone dead. Now I'm going to change them now.
Okay.
I'm going to go old-fashioned.
Old school.
Yeah.
Can you hear me still?
Oh yeah, I can
Oh,
hear
you
you
can.
really well.
Okay, okay.
I just don't want it to have this weird echo afterwards. I don't know how you guys do it, but
Yeah.
I can sometimes hear the echo, which just drives me
Oh,
absolutely.
can you really? Can you hear it on my end here?
Not now, but I said
Okay.
I just sometimes it does. So
Yeah.
I'm just wanted to. Sorry, technical difficulties.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh wait, I need to change the settings now. Oh, this work. There you go.
Paulo saying, Terrence, my entry point into electronic music was Belgian and Italian Euro dance. I don't complain about which doors are opening. Yeah, no, for sure. Junji Ito said he was exposed to horror manga when he was 5 years old. It terrified and attracted him. Been enjoying Tomy, his first major work. Yeah, there's a series coming out, animated. What the heck was it called? There's the Junji Ito Uzumaki that's been supposedly coming out for years, but there's also a series where it's going to be short stories. It looks like it's going to be one-offs, animated shows as well too, which is pretty exciting because it looked like they might be covering Tomy and some of that as well, amongst a bunch of his other stories. Can you do me a favor and grab this other one from the fridge for me?
You have some and you didn't give me any?
I will give you some if you grab it for me. You and me can share it. Bring down a glass too for yourself. So in the world of sponsorships, Kraken, reach out. Come on. Reach out to me here. Let's get a sponsorship going. You can I'll do some content exclusively for you. So I've only got 2 things to talk about.
Oh really?
Yeah, yeah. I didn't read a ton, and one of them I don't have much to say. So I'll just kind of show that there is a new Mad Balls versus Garbage Pail Kids. Yeah. Time Again, Slime Again. It'll be another mini series, 4 or 5 issues. I'm not sure how much. Dynamite. It's the same creators that did the previous Mad Balls versus Garbage Pail Kids, and it's fun enough. It's pretty stupid. Again, like my only complaint is that I wish they would do what they did with the previous Mad Balls series, is get a bunch of different artists doing stories. I think this is a really good vehicle to get some independent comic book creators on board to show off their style and do just these quick little stories that there's not any, they can just do their gags. They can just do some humor strips, even if it's somebody, maybe it's the same writer writing. The writer in this one is Sholly Fish, sorry. And then the artist colorist is Jason Crosby. So there's the credits there. Maybe Sholly just writes a bunch of things and you just get different artists. I think it's a really good vehicle for something like that. I like this art. There's nothing wrong with it. I would just love to see every single issue have a couple of different artists involved. I'll pick it up because I'm a total sucker for Mad Balls. I mean, I'm going to get it regardless. It's a no-brainer for me. So it was good. I wouldn't say rush out and get it. But the one I just wanted to quickly talk about, Lillian and I have read, maybe when she comes back, she might have something to say about this too. We've now read 5 Hilda books. And oh my gosh, I love this book so much. Yeah, that one is great. Absolutely. Versus Little Rascals. Hey, Lil, is that you? I'm going to talk about this one. I don't know if you have anything you want to say about it too. So I'm going to slide over a bit here and maybe try to get her in. Thank you very much.
Daddy Sugar.
Pour you. Okay, great. I'll pour you some in a minute. So we've read 5 books. We sort of read them out of order. But man, if you don't know these Hilda books, these are talking about like imagination, like you were talking about, and kind of creating a fantasy kind of world.
Oh, look at that.
This fantasy world is so much fun. They live in Trollberg, right?
Yeah.
And there's these trolls that live in the mountains here. They have a walled city, and it's filled with bells, because apparently bells are the thing that really repel the trolls. It scares the hell out of them.
Because if you put them on their nose or something, like when they turn to stone, like, because they turn to stone when it's sunny.
That's right.
So like if they're outside, they turn to stone. So they put bells on
their
the
nose.
nose. And
Mhm.
when they wake up and they see it, if they move, it will do the biggest ringing in their ears they have ever heard, and it's like it will really hurt them.
It hurts their ears. That's exactly right. So there's that kind of invention, but then there's some side characters. The one in this one is this bird that's lost its memory, and turns out that the bird is kind of something that they have an annual celebration for. He's kind of this spirit, this kind of god. They look at it as like a god to kind of, they honor once a year so they can have really good crops that following year. So they hold this big celebration for this bird. In the later volumes, there's a character who can kind of, every single crack in your house, he can, it's like another domain. It's like a portal to another part of the city, or he can go through these cracks in kind of under bookcases or under your sofa that then take him to other places in the world. It is so clever. And she is Hilda is such an incredible character. I should also give a shout out to For the Love of Comics, because it was For the Love of Comics that I saw him talking about Hilda. That really turned me on to finally, like, I've heard of the character before, but it was through his videos that I really wanted to get the characters. Yes, Lillian, go for it.
It is also on Netflix. We don't have it anymore, but so I saw Dad watching it one time, and I was like, oh, I have this at my library. I'll bring it.
Yeah.
So I brought it home, and because I knew they were talking about it on YouTube, like he was watching stuff that he was talking about on YouTube. I was like, okay, I'll bring it home and we'll read it together. And now that's how we read Hilda.
Yeah, nice. And there's graphic novels. It looks like there's, I think, 7 graphic novels. There's probably 7 or 8 graphic novels. There's a listing of some of them there. And this is from Flying Eye Books, which is the kind of kids imprint of Nobrow, which is a UK publisher, Nobrow. It is so inventive, and it is so much fun. Even if we weren't reading it together, I would easily read it on my own, and it would still be really enjoyable. There's just some really interesting, every single kind of side character has a really nice personality, and there's just so much kind of fantasy elements. Hilda herself is a great character because she's all about exploration. She's all about wanting to get out into the world and explore her surroundings and things. But then in that you get these stories that are really nice. Yes, very, very nice. We see you. Yes, we acknowledge your existence. Let me just hold that there for 1 second. All right. And then Hilda's mom is a classic mom. She's always worried about Hilda. And in later, one of the books later, she actually goes on an adventure with Hilda, which is a lot of fun too. That turns into a 2-book series. I think it's Hilda and the Stone Forest and Hilda and the Mountain King. So we've sort of read some of these out of order, but it doesn't really matter too much. It's one of those books you can pick up any single one. Another one highly recommended, so for our mainstream chat this week, this is my other entry into our mainstream. She's stealing the show. Yeah, she always does. She's a little bit of attention seeker, in case you haven't noticed. Yes. Excuse me. Hello.
Somebody's gonna be evicted from the show.
Let me just show you a page in the book.
All right.
That.
There you go.
Yeah.
You see?
Anything else you want to say about it?
I really like Hilda. Yeah. I started watching it on Netflix. I never finished it, but it's almost the exact same thing what happens in the book.
Oh, right. Yeah, the show takes right from the books, right? Yeah.
I want the unicorn one.
The unicorn one, yeah. What unicorn? Oh, the cup. Sorry, I thought there was a Hilda unicorn story here. Open this up. Thank you very much, Lillian, for joining us.
Back up because
very good.
Me and Mom are having a Mother Day.
Nice.
Ah, cool. So Hilda's been around for a while then, it seems.
Hilda's been around for a while. This book was 2012 is when this one came out. I don't know when the first one came out because this isn't the first book. in the first book that we read from the series, they lived outside of the city walls. They lived kind of in the they lived in more of like the countryside, so she could explore a lot more. Hilda and the Haunted Tax Return is his favorite. I don't know if he's joking or if he's being serious.
Yeah, it sounds like it could be both. Eh?
You can take those up there too.
Talking about small kid and animated shows. I'm absolutely fascinated by Bluey.
Sorry, start that again.
So you know that like kids, my son is watching a lot of YouTube Kids, and I was like, okay, everybody's giving like a lot of talk about Bluey. So a show from New Zealand, I think, I think it's New Zealand.
Okay.
They're creating. So it's about a dog family. And I cannot stop watching with him. It's like if he watches, he doesn't watch as often because he likes to change. Because, you know, like he likes to watch lots of stuff, whatever he's fascinated. But every single time I put Bluey on purpose, so because I'm fascinated by the show.
Right.
Because it shows you how parents of two girls struggles with, you know, just to have two kids to maintain themselves, and they have lots of questions, and they really have like, you know, like they want to play all the time and have this like crazy questions, and dad and mother, like they are really good at being like kind of like parents but slash like children at the same time, and they have really fascinating storylines. And I'm fascinated by that cartoon, and no wonder that people, like lots of kids, are watching it, because it's not your like typical story where you have, you know, like kids and having lots of fun and play, you know, like toys, but they have the stories to tell how, you know, how somebody's sad because her sister didn't, you know, involve her, and she's like, oh yeah, she's too little, I don't have time for her, and she runs off with her friends, and the little one just cries, and the parents try to basically tell her, don't worry, she's still your sister, she loves you and stuff like that. And it's just like really good storytelling. And I was like, wow, this is actually interesting to watch, you know, like it's more like it actually kind of like teaches you some moments of like when you have those uncomfortable questions, which I usually get not from my son, but from his schoolmates, which is fascinating. So like now I don't like, okay, should I really respond to this, or should I just shut up for a minute? But so it's fascinating, these shows these days they have. And they have comics as well, by the way, books or like graphic novels, I guess, and stuff like that. So yeah,
that's unfortunate, Paulo. Like there is such a huge market of like YA and kids comics over here. I mean, Lillian's getting to the age now, she's reading more YA stuff, but there is so much for her. When we go out to a bookstore or like we went to the comic convention today, she didn't find any comics today, but there's it feels like there's a lot for her. Everything from like the Babysitter's Club, Little Sister, to whatever, you know, like a billion other characters. There's quite a lot of choices. And the YA section at our bookstore that's just down the road here, it's huge. It's quite a few shelves, and it's a lot of them are like longer running series too. They're not just like single books, they're part of like a 10 or 12 issue series that she can really dig into. So that's unfortunate to hear there's not much in Portuguese.
Yeah, that's bad. Really annoying that we have market of comics translated in Portuguese language. So why wouldn't they do that for kids as well?
I guess that, you know, I guess they just don't see the benefit in, and I imagine that happens in a lot of places like this. You know, if you're not going to get anybody buying it, why are we going to translate it, you know, or create something within that language, right? So
that was interesting, because I'm following one of the, I think, comic shops. The one comic shop I would like to visit for sure in UK, which I've never been because it's quite far away. It's in Leeds. It's quite famous comic shop, and they've started having like those Bluey things because people requested it for them to have for their children, because they come into comic book shop buying their own stuff and say, look, you requested it, this is what we have as available for you. And that's fascinating. If they listen to their customers and they have that, because their stores really go. I mean, I would love to go there because it seems to be they have an array of choice of genres and anything you could think of.
And also like that's getting kids into reading, right? Like, am I crazy about Little Sisters Babysitter's Club and stuff? Not really. But the thing is, like, if that's going to be a vehicle for Lillian to start reading, and then she reads a bunch of other stuff, man, go for it. If you want to read this, to me, crap, like absolutely go for it. Read away, because then it at least gets her interested in reading. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, so if this Bluey is a thing, bring it in, because then there's potential, then there's readers that are just kind of getting interested in it, right? So this encouragement as opposed to like shutting doors on people, right?
Exactly. And the library we go to, which it has children's section, and they have vast amounts of books, yes, but they also have comics, and they have European comics. They have like I've seen a lot, like Asterix and Obelix, which I kind of like was keen, like, should I just pick it up? And I kind of feel weird in children's sections, like, it's for my child, but it's really for me now. Because like kind of, but I will get to the point. I always say that I want to get to the point when my child will be interested in actually reading them, because now we do all Lego comic based storylines, which I buy in magazine format for him, and we read that because it gets Lego characters like Spider-Man. Miles Morales just recently came out, which is, it has story of him, and it tells you the background, which is funny. So you can find out your background of Otto Octavius, how he became in the Lego magazines. So it's like an origin story, how Miles Morales got his powers as well, which is exactly how you basically get them introduced to superheroes in a different fashion, whatever they are fancy now. Like my son is absolutely obsessed with Lego, and he likes those kind of things. And he has like a Batman array of characters, like Catwoman, not really good iteration of Commissioner Gordon, the way the Lego looks, but in general, all those characters, they're available for him as well if he wants to later on read it. So
Oh, hey, there you go. Cool.
Okay, cool. That's nice. Also, it wasn't distributed in Portugal. I'm sorry, I'm losing some of the conversation. There's quite a few of them happening.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up when you're a guest. I always have to open another window to see the comments. But I see lots of comments. People are commenting, which is fantastic.
We're chatting as well. So, you have how many books left?
None, but I'll talk about what I picked. Like the next round, I'll talk about what I grabbed today at this convention.
So I have one, two, three of them to talk about.
Sure.
So I'll go mainstream, not mainstream, and mainstream again. Whatever. So I was talking about saying I'm going to mention the Doom. It's fascinating how your brain works. So I go to the library,
Dr. Doom.
And I picked up Dr. Doom. And to my surprise, where is he? He appears.
Hey, of course he does, because he's everywhere now.
Yeah, of course. But because I am so not into the Marvel universe, I always delve into when I find something to read. So this storyline is written by Cantwell. What's your name? So Christopher Cantwell, Salvador Larroca, I know as an artist. So Salvador Larroca, I know artist, and Guru EFX color artist, which is a very fancy name. So this story one, I think it's maybe how many issues? 10. So 2 volumes I picked it up and I read them all. And it's like Dr. Doom has always been like villain I always liked because of books of Doom, which were written by Brubaker, what drove me to even more wanting to understand Dr. Doom better from Marvel Universe. I think he's a fascinating villain. I think he's absolutely flawed human being in generally. And in this iteration of the storyline where they are, I guess Marvel is dwelling into these days problems we have. So Earth is in turmoil, climate is changing, and their decision is to create a black hole to dump their waste into in the black side of the moon. And one sane person, apparently, Dr. Doom said, "You are silly people, what you're doing. You're playing with something like a black holes, which something will definitely bad happens." Of course, nobody listens to Doom because he's a villain. He's a dictator of Latveria.
Yeah.
And, nobody, and he's not really sane to his own demise, but he has really bad problems in his head also. like we all kind of, I think, aware of what Doom is all about. So because of this black hole opening, Doom starts seeing the visions of his alternative, like a self that he thinks is his future at the beginning. What we do find out, spoiler alert, is actually alternative universe. That's what he sees is due to black hole. It also happens to him while he's exposing this information about black hole being a dumb idea, to his own problematic start of being taken seriously. A fraction of another area next to Latveria has decided to kill a ship with 3,000 people who works in this black hole creation, like like people who observes it, like like the scientist hub spaceship, and it blows up, and everybody starting to think that it's just Doom's fault. So everybody starts to blame him because he's the one who is telling them that this was a bad idea. Now he's basically making it even worse for them, and because of that, what happened and the ship being destroyed, the black hole starting to collapse, and then thinking that sooner or later the Earth will be drawn into it and everything will be stopped to exist. There's this character called Blue Marvel, which I'm not really aware of in the Marvel universe. So he's a Marvel as well, but not Captain Marvel. He's a Blue Marvel. He has, his power is an antimatter as well, which is kind of fascinating. What also comes back in here, which I really liked, is Doom gets killed by Taskmaster straight away in issue 3 or 4, and he ends up in hell, and Mephisto is like rubbing his hands saying, oh my god, there you go, I got you now, you're gonna be mine forever, like I have you now. And he's like, nope, I'm not dying here. And he's like, yeah, you don't have a choice, blah blah blah, I am the one who's in charge of this place, you're not in charge. And to Mephisto's surprise, Death comes in and says Doom can live again, and he basically wakes up because Death has alternative things for Doom, because she kind of knows what would happen in the future and what Doom will do for her, and she basically will thrive because lots of people, I guess, will die, and then all that stuff happens. So it has this really cool story, like couple of storylines going in together with it. So after waking up to everybody's surprise, Doom starts looking for a bad guy who is basically going against him, who launched the missiles to kill the space station and stuff like that. So, and a lot of things happens. And to my surprise, in volume 2, you have Kang keep on appearing, and Kang appears in the areas where Doom is really pissed off. It's like, why you keep on appearing? Right. And Kang says, which hiatus? Because apparently his time traveling system doesn't work really well. And they have this little conversation. It's like, and they say, because Doom is also always have a problem with Reed Richards. Apparently they, because of the Fantastic Four history, and they always been a villain. I mean, they never go along because, Doom always wanted to do something, and Reed Richards will always been in the way of his plans. And Kang talks to him like, are we related?
Yeah.
Is Reed Richards, you're like our father or like something like, and I was like, what the hell is going on here? I really would like to know that part.
That was the thing I was going to ask, because I think Kang has had a bunch of iterations, and I think Kang and Doom are kind of the same people. Someone in the chat will probably know this a lot better, but I think some sort of timeline thing where there is some links to whatever that Raw kind of character was. I can't even remember what the hell it was, but yeah, I think there's some link.
Yeah, this Blue Breakers, the Dr. Doom stuff is actually getting it's really well told storyline. Highly recommend to read it. It's really good background to understand Doom and what he's all about and what it was happening in here. So yeah, this story, the Kangas gets there, he always gets in the way. He actually saves Doom in a couple of places. and it doesn't really kind of divulge. Afterwards we found out, like Doom gets to the point to understand who's behind it, of course, because it's Doom. He starts to question his minions as well, which he was not really happy about, because he felt like he had the trust to like people who he trusted with. He also has this girl who has extra superpowers, but she has this history of a bloodline where Doom not really happy about. So because of that history, he decides to tell her to kill her own mother. Why?
Right.
It would be a spoiler alert. So if somebody wants to read the storyline, they won't be spoiled by it. It's really well told. Doom is Doom itself. Like, so we find out that one spoiler I'm telling you. So Doom goes into war. He gets whatever he needs. He says, "I like the war only when I'm winning." That, which is nothing surprising in that sense. But then he sees his own alternative self, and he decides to do to his alternative self. So he starts to be like having this conversation in his own head, saying, maybe I should be good now, because kind of feel like I'm being like always evil. And he's like, because of this family / alternative universe Doom has, he kind of willing to have that as well. So because he wants family, that's his one thing that he always yearned for, and in the story particularly. So when he starts to talk to his alternative self, which is in here, he doesn't like what he hears. So what he does to him is, spoiler alert, he obliterates him and he kills him.
Yeah.
So that's because Doom is Doom. You can't change him to what, no matter how much he will think that he can change, and he sees alternative universes selves, he thinks that, and he has this moment, which I really, really fascinating. Like, this is one of the pages I absolutely love in this book. So he is still unable to see the sense, or see the same part of his own brain. He doesn't like computer can't compute the information he gets in there. It's still that, like insecurity of himself, or that, because his face is disfigured, he feels like people owns him something because of the, like this horrible child he has to go through. How his mother, if you read that Brubaker's Book of Doom, you'll find out his full iteration of what Brubaker was thinking Doom's supposed to have as his origin, and it's horrible, what his mother has to go through and all that stuff. So I always like Doom. Because since that book I read, I think it's always fascinating for me to read it. And this is not bad. So this guy who Cantwell, I keep on talking about. So this came out. Wow, it came out recently. No, 2019. This volume. So it's not 4 years old. So it's kind of in the realm of whatever universe that Marvels keep on doing and changing all the time. But I always find it fascinating to read, especially if you can find them in a couple of volumes to just understand what you have. So my library, I have them together. I was like, okay, cool. So I'm gonna go and read it, and I wasn't really disappointed. But unfortunately, didn't have enough time to draw. So I started drawing.
Oh, you gotta make yourself big again. Oh, is that when I came into you were drawn?
Yeah. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, you just started.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do Kang here because I felt really nice drawing, and I'm gonna do Doom here somewhere.
Nice.
Yeah.
Paula was saying in the chat, Ramatut was the name I was looking for, and Immortus. That's what that was versions of Kang as well. And then I think they eventually linked it to Doctor Doom as Steve Englehart. Sorry, excuse me. I think they eventually linked it to Doom as well too. So yeah, there was all this. Once you start dealing with time travel shit, it's everything is interconnected.
You watch Ant-Man movie, you'll see. Kang.
Fucking love Kang, man. So awesome. Does Immortus come into the movie?
Remind me, Mortis again? What is
Mortis, I don't know. I always think of him as like this insect kind of looking guy is what I think of him. And again, like me not knowing much about anything, take that with a grain of salt. But that's how I always think of him, as some sort of like, he's this insect villain sort of looking character.
No, I don't think
Someone in the chat will say it way better than I did though.
Yeah.
Oh man, I got to see this movie.
Oh, it's none other than Daniel.
Absolutely, me as well. MF Doom, motherfucking Doom, all caps. All caps when you spell the man's name. R.I.P. indeed.
Yeah. Okay.
I also like AFPC's Doom is Kang's father's brothers, nephews, cousins, former roommates. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
StreamYard, if you're listening, StreamYard, when you're a guest on StreamYard, I would love to be able to hit the chat and be able to comment as well. So StreamYard, for your next update, make that happen, please. That would be fantastic.
Hello, Damien, and hello. Hello. So yeah, so fascinating little thing. Even Marvel can surprise you to the point. But you know, like when if you do like the character and then Kang appears because of whatever the next level of Marvel universe in the movie section will be, I guess that's what comic books kind of going to that realm as well. But I really like it, and it seems to be they still doing quite a good justice of the Doom itself, because it seems to be still having the same problems. Mental state is not fully there for sure. It's just so. And the kicker is, so he has the solution how to solve the black hole thing. And before he does do that with his Doom bots, apparently he creates some Doom bots to help them to work, because he can't work with anybody else but himself, because they look exactly like him. Reed Richards calls him and saying, well done, Doom. And he goes off the rails. He starts questioning everyone. Why'd you say well done? What do you think? Do you think I'm not going to succeed? And he's like, no, wait. And then you have this like really bad conversation afterwards, and Reed Richards just like puts down the phone down, and Doom goes like starts researching his own thing, starts to make changes, and it's like basically fucks it up his own creation, and he's like, oh my god, it's his own fault. And so his own brain doesn't know how to accept when somebody says good job, especially from the most the person he loves so much he can't understand, because he has, and also he still have magic powers in here, so which is interesting. So is Doom in this day and age Marvel universe still has, because the introduction to his magic with that story we both read from that collected edition special, like the Epic, isn't it? Or the Marvel
I think it's Epic,
magazine, magazine, something like that. So that's how he gained his magical powers. He used all the words that Doctor Strange uses.
Amazing.
I was like, oh, so he still has them. So it's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah,
if you're the stream, and I think on the mobile, like I'm on my phone doing this, I think when I host, I don't even think I have that ability when I'm hosting on the phone. I think that's from like computer, but I need to look into it again, because as Console Cracks, absolutely, as Rasa was chatting, I was trying to catch up on some of the comments, and anyway.
So I find this, if they keep on saying that Reed Richards will be back in the fold of Marvel movies.
Right.
I mean, I've seen some pictures even coming back with Krasinski back as a Reed Richards, which is, he looks exactly what you want like him to look like. The iterations they had in that. Which movie was that last?
Oh man, are you telling me? Yeah, no, forget it. I'm not going to ask any more questions. No,
it's not gonna be in there. Not in the movie.
No,
I'm just saying in general.
My mind is going on Ant-Man now, so I'm going to stop and I'm not going to ask any more questions.
Oh, you know what's the kick? So I don't watch trailers, people, on purpose. I go to bloody cinema after 3.5 years, and they spoil the movie for me. Like, what the?
Yeah.
They spoil Guardians of the Galaxy for me. I was like, thank you very much.
Yeah, that's why, I agree with that. Especially with the mainstream stuff, it's really hard. I love watching the trailers, but it really is hard to have any sense of mystery going into a movie where it's like, well, for fuck's sakes, man. It's the whole premise,
we keep on saying spoiler alert, when we talk about comic books. Shit, why don't you do the same thing when you put trailer in cinema?
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, so I can
look away. The art of the trailer is long gone.
Yeah. Multi-levels of madness. Yeah. Anyway, so that was good to read again. Nice to be excited about Marvel stuff, because I only do them once in the blue moon. So it's cool. So you showing what you got?
I didn't get much at this. So there was a convention this afternoon here in town, the Lansdowne Comic Convention. It's this guy Vince, he's a teacher So at the school he teaches in, sorry, I think it's a junior high,
Mhm.
he holds a convention, a couple of conventions. He's done it a number of times now, 5 or 6 times, I think.
Mhm.
So I went to it and just I grabbed just a few things. So I'll just quickly kind of show those. I started flipping through a couple. I'm a huge Overpower card game freak. So they had these comics that were the Marvel Overpower. So it's
Mhm.
issue 1 is Clobbering Time, and then issue 2 is Sworn to Protect. So
Mhm.
you used to be able to get these packs that were kind of starter decks, and they
Mhm.
had all the cards you needed in a starter deck to play the game. So this comic sort of gives you like, here's what the starter decks looked like, and then it kind of gives you tips on how to play the game and how to build your own deck and things like this. I've never seen these around before. They were 50 cents a piece, these books, so I grabbed them because the Marvel Overpower I'm not as keen on. I really like the DC JLA Overpower
Mhm.
game. Is so good, and the art on the cards is fantastic. But I mean, I'm a huge trading card nerd to begin with, and then you match in a game. I'm a huge gamer as well too.
Uh-huh.
It is such a fun card game to play. Um,
Is it? I think they have a new one, isn't it now? Marvel.
I'm sure they do. Yeah, I'm sure that things have kind of progressed. Legendary is the one that we play now. That's the
Mhm.
Marvel one that we play now,
I
and we
think they
love
call.
that game. That is such a fun card game. The other
Is it?
bonus with this one is we
Oh,
get some Ren and Stimpy
nice.
advertisements as well too. There's Ren and Stimpy toys out there now too. They're
Oh
like
no.
$100 a pop, but man, oh man, do they ever look good. Anyway, so I got those for 50 cents a piece.
Yeah.
Another issue
Ooh,
of Red
nice.
Sonja,
Frank Thorne.
pardon me, issue number 11. I think I'm like an issue 2 away of having the first 12 issues.
Oh wow, cool.
I love Red Sonja. I love Frank Thorne. This
Yeah.
is still Frank Thorne. Yes, it is. Yeah, it's still Frank Thorne in this issue.
Nice.
So it's great. I was telling Rasa before we went live, I saw a Frank Thorne Gita collection as well too.
Mhm.
At this convention, it was $75 though, so I didn't jump on it because that's a little too pricey.
Mhm.
But it is a book that I don't see. I've never seen at a convention. Actually, I've never seen it out there. It's a
Mhm.
pretty thick, soft cover as well too. So potentially it was worth it. I just didn't have the money to spring on that.
Mhm.
The last 2 that I'll show you here are the ones that I'm really excited about. There's this guy that I go to see. He's an underground comics guy. I've seen him at conventions, and we've talked about underground comics in the past. I usually end up buying from his booth. So he
Mhm.
had this R.K. Sloan. This is a Starhead Comics Presents
Uh-huh.
number 2, Curse of the Baby Monster.
Oh.
R.K. Sloan is his name. He went on and did like a lot of posters for some punk rock bands. I think he also designed the Guns N' Roses kind of main logo that they use, maybe.
Really?
But he's kind of been around forever. He was kind of in the camp of Robert Williams and people as kind of like
Mhm.
one of the guys who is this lowbrow comics artist. He did a Rat Fink comic that I have as well too. He actually had a underground comic from 1969, Rick Sloan Comics, which again, in the world of underground comics, that's pretty fucking early for even that genre. This one looks so great. I've never seen this around before. He gave me a deal on this one. He kind of gave me 50% off of the price he had on it. So I'm
Mhm.
looking forward to reading this. Let's get to and there's the center spread. So you can
Holy.
totally see some Rat Fink kind of influence in characters like this. So
Uh-huh. Yeah.
really, really great stuff. A lot of fun, that one. So, and the one I was most excited about, was Lloyd Llewellyn number 6. This is the final magazine issue from
Mhm.
Dan Clowes that I've been looking for forever. It now completes my run of this 6-issue series. It's from Fantagraphics. I read the first story in this. I love Lloyd Llewellyn is a character that even Dan Clowes doesn't really have the fondest of memories about. It's I think the writing is unbelievable. This is 1987. Yeah, 1987 is when this came out. This
Wow.
first story is so good. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I'm so glad it's not something that you find. This one had a low print run, so it makes it even harder to find. he had 3 issues, and this one cost me a couple of bucks, but I got it anyway because it's nice to kind of end that run. Yeah, really nice guy. A lot of really good books. He gave me, I have a copy of this already, but he gave me another one. This is a book that he published back in 1987. I think so. Yes. No, sorry. 1992 is when he put this one out. So he contacted Robert Williams to get an interview with him. He did 3 issues of this. The first issue had, I think, 400 or 600 comics, 400 issues printed. This one had in the thousands, and he had it distributed through some record stores as well. So Robert Williams himself offered to, like, who's doing your cover? I want to do your cover. So he sent him a bunch of images that he could use, and he chose this one to do as his cover. So he was kind of telling me the story. It's a really thick kind of alternative mag with a bunch of local ads as well too. So our skateboard shop in town that's still around, Skate is still around. So it's great to see kind of that stuff. I haven't looked through this forever. I do have a copy, but he said take this one anyway. This will be one that you can keep in the bathroom as kind of reading material because it's all water damaged. Really, really cool. And it was nice to kind of talk to him about the history and what he was doing, what he wanted to do. He wanted this to kind of get bigger, but the people he was able to talk to are pretty fantastic. Looking for any sort of other images. Yeah, so here's the Robert Williams interview. The guy who did this back cover, whose name I'm blanking on right now, he bought this ad space on the back cover. He lived apparently like a block or 2 away from Robert Williams. So he said, send me your questions. I'll just go over to his house and interview him for you so we can kind of have a bigger conversation as opposed to just responding to kind of a set bunch of questions. So super cool kind of local fanzine kind of thing going on there. So yeah, that's what I got at the convention.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, some good shit. It was fun. I mean, most of it is like Marvel, DC kind of stuff that didn't really hold much interest for me. It's me and a couple of guys in town here that are really kind of into the more underground and alternative comics. So it's really hard for us because he was asking me, why don't you sell at these cons anymore? Because I've talked to him when I went and sold at cons. And I said, we just don't make any money. I come and I end up paying for a table and nobody buys anything, right? Because they're not looking for the books that I'm selling. They're looking for the slabs and the keys and the minor keys. Like people are looking for that, which is fine. But I'm not selling that kind of shit. I'm selling the weirdo stuff that nobody else wants, right? So it makes it not really worth my time to go and set up and get a table, even if it is, I think it was like $50 a table for this show. So pretty cheap considering, but I won't even make that money back if I went and set up, right? So.
But you do have your DCs, yeah? Those.
I mean, this is the mainstream comic 2 hours here this week, it seems to be. We're really hitting the big 2 hard here.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So I'm going for, I have a couple more things to talk about. There's another one, I guess I seems to be liking what her color scheme, especially the weird element to what she presents. So Anna Galvan has another book, Press Enter to Continue. Welcome to McBurgers is the first one I showed to you from library. I think you do like the burger sign. I think you remember, maybe you even found it in library yourself, didn't you, Terence?
Not that one. No, not that one.
Not this one, but the previous one. I say Enter to McBurgers is the different book. So it has the same feel to it, the same size, the same color scheme, everything the same. So it's published by Fantagraphics. This one is published in 2019, I think. But it's really stunning with the color scheme. She nailed it, and it's bizarre as the first one was.
I'm just running to the bathroom while you're talking there, Russ. I'll be right back.
Okay, it was translated from Spanish by Jamie Richards. It was published in 2019. It has absolutely spectacular scheme of colors, which I absolutely adore. And her art style is. Not a conventional part of it, what you expect from the mainstream to have, let's say. And she has this panel layout, which is really does have a tale to say, but I think the colors, which is really gives the feeling of fascination for me, because it's are those bright colors in these like you would say stick figures, which has to tell a story. So it's about 5 stories in here, and each of them is very difficult to tell you exactly what I've just read about. This one seems to be she's been drawn into a television, and this tiger jumped in from the window and eat her alive. So this was as fascinating as ever. So for me, when I pick up her books, I don't tend to really care to. I mean, I do care to see what her story is all about, but this one is more silent story. And then she has this introduction page where somebody walks into something from somewhere else, or like a job placement. And this dude in here, which is one of my more favorite stories, was that the guy is applying for a spot in a circus, and he's passing this sign on a door called Scandal, and he'll kind of very peekaboo goes into it and sees the girl wearing a doll face, and he's like, okay, that was weird. And then so he's going for Chipperfield Circus, and then I guess announcer guys say, welcome, see us all to sit at a table, and they kind of like tells him a little bit story or background of the circus. And this lady with the doll face, she's not talking. Nobody has heard her voice since the accident happened where one of the members of circus has disappeared. To my surprise, there's a sexual elements displayed where the guy is because of this desire to unknown, he dwells into it, and how it portrays a sex scenes is fascinating, especially with the color scheme and the holes and the poking happening. So that was a fascinating thing to look at. So yeah, it tells you what's happening. I don't know, it's basically gets to you to understand who the female is, or is she a female. So this is what's fascinating. So yeah, one of the best stories in here. Also in here is about the person who's applying for the job, and she has to go through this tiny hole for the interview, and she goes out, and this is the streets. This is basically entry point for her to go apply for the job. So it's kind of interesting. It's really cool. And she has this interview where we have this like weird questions, and she's waiting it out because the lady who's interviewing her, she has this pad where apparently she's supposed to write information, the questions and the answers she's given to her. And she's keep on looking at the pad and thinking like, what's going on here? And she starts feeling nervous. So she asks the question. No, before she asks the question, the lady says, oh, do you want to make, I'm going to make you a tea. And then she leaves the room. And then when she comes back, she asks the question because she looks at the book and nothing is written. And then now she asks, well, she becomes paranoid, and she's like, are you having a hand behind the table? What's in there? What you have? And then she basically goes there to basically check her out, what's happening behind. And then afterwards, suddenly they say, oh, well done, you passed the interview. And this is like a special show and something like that. So it's just bizarre readings, and they say, okay, next day 6 o'clock sharp, please come back and enter, like again for that little hole. So it's up to you to define that. Really cool, absolutely. Yeah. And it's absolutely bizarre as well. There's this world where the lady goes through, and there's this element where she comes into there's an experiment, and humans are being kind of test subject and stuff like that. Her palette or the choice of graphic design of this book is absolutely fascinating. It's more words than the last one. Actually, the last one was having all the storyline in here, but particularly just one. In here, there's a couple of stories for you to basically have a feel for her. Even Earl Grey appears.
Hello, Earl Grey. Holy smokes.
Yeah, so it's fascinating to see how things happening and what she creates in here. It's very dreamlike like seems to be she has like a really wild imagination, and this graphic design style of creating the comic part with
Yeah.
elements of like the color schemes and all that stuff. I find it really fascinating, and thankfully my library has it, so it seems to be here there's more and more to it. And apparently also so the detail of the all characters looks kind of like nothing. You can't see the faces expressions, but when it comes to close-up motion, she still kind of shows to like a bit more detail to that. And yeah, it's kind of a lot of couple bizarre stories as well in here, but I find her really fascinating. And
it's the kind of art that like each story could be like a $20 risograph, single issue, you know what I mean? Like that has that kind of real beautiful layout and style and colors, and it's amazing stuff.
Yeah, and also there's the story where it makes you feel uncomfortable because there's this girl talking to this guy, and then you find out that guy is her father, and you're like, what happened? So you kind of like, you need to read back the story. Some of it, as I say, it's kind of like she takes to, like it's your own imagination to finish the story sometimes. So also she kind of gives you everything from the beginning to the end. And as I say, that's a fascinating little story about the guy who goes into circus to apply for the job, and basically gets involved with somebody who's so mysterious for him and has sex, but you don't really know if it's a female or male. You never know. You have to take up to a grain of salt for that. I really enjoyed that one, but it's just fascinating. So she has a mind of her own for sure, and Fantagraphics is perfect publisher for this for creators like her. Yeah. And it's really well done as well. That's the thing. It has the paper like newspaper kind of texture to it, not newspaper, but like toothed
right.
paper. Once again, I don't know the names of the paper, unfortunately, can't tell you, but it's really nice feel for it, and it's exactly the same size what the previous publication they had, as I say, Enter the McBurgers. That's the name of that, and all of them are translated from Spanish because she's from Spain. And the rest, but not. Oh yeah, I'll also show you a couple more library picks. So I'm on the kick of Adrian Tomine. It seems to be.
Oh yeah, nice.
So they had The Loneliness on a Long Distance Cartoonist, it's basically a sketchbook which you can have to buy. And this is how far I went into. I haven't read much, but it has that like crisscross, not crisscross, but a square boxes like a math paper. And he drawn into it. It seems to be like a sketchbook he's using to tell a story, and it seems to be is this where he's telling a story how he got in trouble because he was supposed to be a clone of Dan Cloves, and people not appreciating him stealing the style of his, and then blah blah blah.
Oh really? Hey, yeah.
And I haven't read much of it yet. As I say, I'm like 20 pages into how much? 162. So I don't have the full story, and he goes into conventions. He sees Frank Miller and saying basically things while he's seeing him, saying, "Oh my God, I was so fascinating looking at Daredevil run. I really wanted to make it kind of like the same way, because first he was a fan of comic books, and then he was like an artist and stuff like that. So it's really, really interesting. So there's another thing of Tomine I'm going to get into. So I think it's the most recent work of his. And I was surprised that libraries still have it. It's in tatters. So it's been really loved and read for sure, which I'm going to give you opinion of next week maybe. And then a bit more seems to be I'm going to that well, but because of the Jimmy Palmiotti and Justin Gray is why I want to read this. I'm not sure which volume it is. It doesn't really disclose. It's just one-off issue, like one volume. It says in here it starts from Batwing. Luke Fox collects Batwing 19 and 34 and Batwing Future End. And the Batwing is the one character I'm not really that much aware of. I know the cartoon animated series are extremely popular, but Jimmy Palmiotti and Justin Gray is from what is that? Oh my God, why I'm blanking? But the guy who with a scar on his face and he wears cowboy Ghetto. What is his name? My God, what's wrong with me today?
Yeah,
Oh,
sorry,
honestly.
don't know.
So anyways, it's one of DC's very famous run, which I have just recently collected recently. So it's the same creative team. So I wanted to see if I enjoy Lucius Fox Batwing. And art in here looks as what you would expect in DC comic books, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff like that. So I thought, why not? Because of the creators team. I like Jimmy Palmiotti in generally as a writer.
Yeah.
So I'll be getting into this kind of realm. See if I'm gonna get absolute Jonah Hex. Thank you, Govdal. Oh my God, that took a while for me. Yeah, I didn't even have it yet. So yeah, Jonah Hex is one of the most famous runs that Jimmy Palmiotti did with Justin Gray, and it hasn't been reprinted for a heck a lot, and they've been screaming on Twitter as well. If you do follow them on Twitter, they're saying like, "Come on, people, just put it out in publication," kind of DC people. Anyway, so Luke Fox the Batwing. So anyway, we'll see if it will be anything interesting. So, and the last thing I'm gonna show you via my really disgustingly looking screen of my tablet, which is absolute trash, and the screen needs to be replaced. But this is a new thing. So I was surprised, but I think now because of delivery issues and COVID and all that stuff, the things which come out in America doesn't come out as quickly as in here in UK. And I think this is going to come out, whatever, I don't know, haven't even come out maybe yet. But I got it in the digital format. So I had it since I last read this one, which is much easier to handle. The Welcome to Beiju. I'm a bit of the Punisher kick, and I saw this one. I was like, okay, I'm really not into like these days Marvel, but this artist, which is okay, I do apologize in advance. So Torun Gronbeck is the writer, and Jibril Morissette Fan is the artist. So this is a creator team, if you guys can see. And this is the first issue of this Punisher War Journal based #1, and art is really good.
Yeah,
really
cool.
good. And the story,
AFPC will be loving this after his Punisher trilogy that he watched.
Well, he did say that since I showed it.
Did he? Okay, yeah.
So this one is, of course, the beginning of Punisher comes back after the war. He's a Marine. Yeah, they have marriage problems now. They go into a marriage counseling thing to talk about. He is back into basically being in the modern life, like having a family, being normal again, has to go back to being, like a father, a husband, and all the stuff, and the memories of the soldier.
Yeah, impossible.
And and he's struggling, of course, and he's keeping this journal to read whatever his mind is telling him, because somebody said that it's supposed to work, so he's doing it. He's trying his best. And he goes, he goes through suburbia, meets his neighbors, with the other dogs. They greet him. He thinks he's wasting his time, but because of the, Halloween is the time, and he needs to, all families dressing up and everybody's getting ready, and the kids are bee, and the astronaut mother is a pirate, and daddy is the assassin. And the wife tells him, so really, did you have to choose this? And he's like, what? I'm a character. And they go trick or treat. Everything seems to be okay. The wife saying like she's kind of uncomfortable, like maybe you should have done it a bit better than that. So they don't really get along. And of course, to the surprise of the Punisher, he goes for a walk after everything happens. I'm gonna walk a dog, because he kind of basically wants to have a bit of a freedom from he needs a bit of a air to think about stuff. And of course, to Punisher, he hears something in the house, and that's when the things happens. He meets this crazy, like a kind of deja vu to the story before. This ginormous dude who's complaining that his dog peeing on his car. This family comes out with his bodyguards, this lady in charge, so he's tingling in the back of the spine of the Punisher, and decides to go and have a look, what's going to happen next. And of course, in the house, there's 3 people in the basement. He sees them, and they've been tortured, one without a leg, and the one is basically about to be chopped off the hand, so somebody's captured, and of course to the Punisher, he decides to go and help. To his surprise, he sees this guy in absolutely naked, in with his mouth, what is that called? I don't know even the name.
A gag in his mouth.
Yeah, a gag in his mouth. So yeah, don't worry, I'm gonna save you. To his surprise, he's not the one who needs to be saved.
Uh-huh.
So he's the one to tell them his presence, and of course, lots of fighting scenes happens. He gets captured as well by Tranquilizer, by this crazy douche who captures him as well, and who's the one who used to torturing the bad guys. And because it's issue number 1, I don't know exactly what will happen next, but he escapes by shoving the needle to this douchebag's face, and he's losing his eyes. Protects the family, but to his bad luck, they explodes, and his dog dies, and he has to go back home after walking the dog to tell the family. Not to tell the family. What happens is the wife sees him coming back, hears him, and she sees him in the garden burying the dog, and he has this look on his face and says the end on it. But so it's issue number 1. I don't know if it's going to continue, but one of the Punisher series, like the first issue, which has really good ending and kind of understanding how the Punisher is all about, what is this, and the art is, as I showed you beforehand, is really strong. So yeah, if it's gonna be continuous like this in the fashion, I don't know, I probably might be even looking. And it seems the storytelling quite fascinating yet to see if they're gonna continue this, because it says number 1, so maybe they will have extras afterwards. I'm not sure. I don't know the news of that kind of part of the Marvel. I go into it, I see something I like, especially the art.
Dip into it.
It drew, and I draw me in, and I just wanted to see what's happening.
Is it weird that every time I see a naked man and think of boners in comics, I think of Ragamuffin? Whatever happened to Ragamuffin? Ragamuffin's gone, and he's not back.
Yeah, he's not.
Mr. Muffin.
Comics by Agafin is the new layout. Yeah. There isn't it collected now with that magazine size storyline as well about the war by I'm talking about Gaff, and it's my mind just well somewhere else. I remember seeing it, that I think it's been already collected. Yeah, but there's lots of Gaff and stuff. I mean, as I say, this
sure is.
There's lots of Punisher stuff is written for sure. The Max series as well, all of it of his. It's quite difficult to get like all of it to read, but it's also very dark. But as I say, I have this. I guess my brain is telling me, okay, you have read it now. Now it seems to be my brain is looking for it, and somehow I found that. But it's. I like to read digital comics at nighttime. Oh, look. Oh.
Ragamuffin is alive and well. Yeah, let's hope.
and we'll see how it goes with the next reading things. You have his work in singles. Wow, that's lots of work of his in English. So you must love reading Punisher then, or Gaff and his work, which I do enjoy. But sometimes, it's just kind of like you take a break from Gaff and his writing. I can't read them for a prolonged period of time. Let's say it this way. I enjoy his writing a lot, but sometimes I find it really goes into your brain, and you're just like, I need something more cheerful, please. Like those Harlequins or all that stuff. That's really refreshing for me. Like my brain refreshes itself afterwards. But yeah. So I went to library, and there wasn't too much of the things what grabbed my eye, and seems to be like I'm telling you. Seems to be all the alternative stuff is I've read already. It's like I read it. Right. I read. It's like, what the hell is wrong with me? It's too many I read already. It's like I'm gonna run out of sources. But I can go to other branches of libraries in my area because they would have something. So I definitely probably have to go somewhere else in different library now to find something more new for me to read, because otherwise I'll become quite sad. Although I do have a library of my own. I guess I can just go there in that realm.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's amazing that you've made it through so much at your library.
I know. So because they have the library section of comic books where I'm going, it has half of the 4 shelves of Marvel, 7 shelves of DC,
Whoa.
one shelf of Dark Horse, maybe 2 shelves of Image, and all Images ones like they never knew. They're all quite old stuff.
Okay.
And then they have a shelf for offshoots of Marvel or offshoots of some other publisher, and then they have alternatives.
Okay.
And about 2-3 shelves, and all those 3 shelves, I kind of like. I'm telling you, like more than 70% I've already kind of read whatever it draws my eye into. You know what I mean? Throughout the time I've been going.
I love it.
Yeah, but it's like, but they have 2 display things, which they have a new stuff, I guess, or something which like somebody returned it already and it's maybe very popular, so they want to give that attention. So I always go there first to see if I haven't read something. So like that Adrian Tomine, I wasn't there on the shelves at all before, and it came out. So like, oh, okay, I'm grabbing that now.
Yeah.
So it's funny how good that I'm keeping this bloody thing here, because it seems to be now I'm well more aware of what I've read, because I like in my brain I like literally scribe the information. But I honestly find it, I don't know how about you, when you read comic books in a collected format and not for a long period of time because you read them quite quickly, that my memory of them, if I don't do that there, it's very difficult to keep them.
For sure. And I mean, I think that's like with a lot of them, for sure. I think that having the book helps for sure. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to be the ones that were standouts that stick with you, which is, I mean, for me, that's the tell of what was a good read. If I forget it a week later, then that means it wasn't a very good read, even if I enjoyed it at the time. Like, you're always, I mean, for myself, I love that idea of struggling to find that one that sticks with you for the weeks and months. And, like, there's some books that I still think about. I mean, this is still out on my counter here because I love it. So it's some of those books, like when you find those books that really resonate and stick with you, is so fantastic. But yeah, I mean, tracking is a really good thing. Just to kind of go back, I'm up to 123 now, I think, is what I'm up to for my goal for the year. So I'm really hitting it hard.
Yeah, I've been quite a few. I mean, I haven't started from the beginning of this year, so I don't know exactly how many I have started. But also, I realized when I was complaining about the pull list, when you pick up your Batman and you complain, oh, this issue so quickly, I need to wait another month to get another one. But then you stew with that issue for a month and you continuously keep that in mind until the next issue comes, like the Turtles, So I recall a lot more Turtle stories because I've been, spewing it like I have it in my brain for a month until I get another one because of the pull list. Now with this, I read it. I'm probably not going to look it for I don't know how long now. I want to go back and read it? So that's what I'm saying as well. My memory kind of like, of course, if it's like you say, it's not what really drove me and I was really excited about, I won't remember that. But that's what I'm trying to say is also that with those single comic books I was to complain about, I kind of remember them more because I've been, throughout a year for the issues to read the 12-issue story. It takes a year, let's say, to do it if they publish it right. Yeah, that's a long time to think about one story.
Yeah, no, totally. And that constant reminder every single month. Too. Yeah, absolutely.
And you never forget.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah,
also, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, digital things are like really difficult for me to keep in mind at all.
Yeah.
I've read quite a few in them, like those newer maybe, and the one which really actually keeps my mind open all the time towards, because I want to read more, but it only comes out in English version in the digital format so far, is this guy Undertaker.
Okay. Yes.
I've shown you it before. Ralph
Mayer
is the creator. This Western style of Undertaker, who basically does the job. And this is the story where I always remember, even though I read it digitally. And I saw
that Europe Comics. Is that what it was?
Yeah, that's the Europe Comics. Yeah. And it's like there's another volume, but they haven't yet, I think, found them in English yet. Translated. It's beautiful art. Absolutely fascinating Western story. And I saw they came out with the action figure, not the statue of that story. Yeah, and guess how much is it?
$100.
400 euros.
Holy shit. Fucking
Yeah.
hell, man.
Apparently, it's extremely popular in France. The store
Wow.
so I guess that's why your price tag is that big. But
Wow. Oh my God.
I know
That's
it's like
fucking
it's
bonkers.
Undertaker with his crow character
Right.
and something else next to it, and I was like, wow. I mean, look, for somebody who's really into that stuff.
Hey,
maybe.
man, take that money if you can make it. But that's insane. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah. Got the push my Arsenal.
Later, FPC.
Yeah, that's a lot of ramen. Yeah, exactly. No, I could not believe the price tag.
That's an effects pedal. That's a boutique effects pedal for my synthesizers, is what that is.
Yeah, so that's a lot of money. It's too much. I was really surprised. It's like maybe like saying limited. Okay, it's limited because it's not your, I don't know what they call it, how they making that to be a price type of thing. It's limited. You have to pre-order, blah blah blah, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's almost like a statue price. Those statues for those. So maybe it's a bigger version than what you expect it to be. I didn't see this. I mean, I didn't look at the size and all that stuff, but because I like that character so much, I was like, I just saw it because I follow the artist because I just absolutely love his style of work. And he said like, oh yeah, this might look this character coming out from this book I'm working with Ralph Mayer and stuff like that. So. And I was like, oof, 400 euros, man.
That's madness. That is expensive.
Hopefully it's a ginormous little statue or something. I don't know.
Right.
To get that kind of, because that would be something what Sideshows comes out, the statue companies and all the other ones.
When I was at Galaxy the other day picking up that Doctor Strange and stuff and looking for that Batman, I was looking through the DC. They have a bunch of the Todd McFarlane sculpts of the toys there. So I was looking through. They had a demon. They didn't have like the Dead Man, etc. They didn't have those ones. Thankfully, I'm glad they didn't have it. But it just looking at like the McFarlane sculpts and everything compared to some of the other figures, because the overall quality of figures these days is so high anyway. But seeing the McFarlane ones, they're still like, they really still are doing something extra special. Like there's something extra nice about the toys that has his hand in, or his company has his hand in, right? Like that extra little touch of detail. But it was cool to see it. And like I said, I'm glad that I didn't see the I almost bought the demon one though, because it did look pretty amazing. It looked pretty cool, but I don't need it, so I didn't buy it. I left it there.
I know the shop where they have that Martian Manhunter statue of the McFarlane line, and they have like the whole shelving line of that, by the way.
Oh man,
they don't have the new ones yet. So you told me about that Deadman, the new iteration. But anyway, so we have Martian. It looks really bloody good. Like that style of Darwin Cook version of Martian.
Yeah.
And I really like that because it does remind me of Darwin Cook one. So it's like, oh shit, why do you do this? But it's much bigger and it looks more kind of a bigger, but and heavier kind of like things they're using to portray that. But it's the face. That's the thing. Now those action figures' face, they finally got it right, because sometimes you used to have like I saw once a Wonder Woman and her eyes went like not in the right direction.
Right. Someone put the dot in the wrong place.
Yeah.
That's
the print
hilarious.
didn't go well. There you go. There you go. You see, that's what I told you. You see, I don't know what's happening, but honestly, if anybody
get the same level as Black Sad.
Yeah. I'm telling you guys, you need to have a read. I've been banging on saying about read this. It's a really good story. It's Wild West story, of course. It's taken in that, and as beautiful as I said to you, the sceneries how Blueberry Iterations has had as well. Yeah. Oh look, but then there are Tintin store.
Yeah, for sure.
No. So there you go. So
the merchandise really good. So huge. Yeah, it's so huge.
Yeah, so the Europe Comics websites, you can buy those digital format stories, which I'm telling you about. It has, so far, I have read, which I was able to, 5 volumes of it. There's
Okay.
7, I think, even now.
Wow.
So yeah, and they're really good reads. Like it's really goes forward. The character is really kind of appeals because of this like Undertaker, and he's like has history behind. He's a kind of like soldier who doesn't want to do anything about, like people in general. He just wants to be alone with this with hearse going through the Wild West, and he has the pet, not crow, but a vulture is his
Oh,
pet,
okay.
a
Yeah.
pet.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean he like he needs to kill somebody. Pet basically has a food for itself and stuff, and he gets
Right.
into situations where like family employs him to pick up the son from somewhere he was killed, because it's part of the Indian tribe in America where he basically decided to convert to be part of. And then this rich guy's son basically done that, and he's died, and they want him to ask him to go and pick it up. Really good stories, honestly. And then things happens. The cowboys comes after him. The other people comes after him, and has those scenes in the, like what you expect the Wild West Western to be like.
Yeah.
And it's really cool story told. So yeah, really cool. So this is the first page of the cover of it's called The Gold Eater. And Ralph Mayer is the artist. Caroline Dabali, I think, is the writer.
Mhm.
Let me look, and I'm going to actually give you a proper. Oh no, it says Caroline Dabali and Ralph Mayer is a colorist. We don't really tell you and here exactly the details who is who. I think Ralph Mayer, if I'm correct, because I'm following him on Instagram. That's him.
Okay,
Who's
yeah.
actually artist. And he does that fully. Yeah, it's beautiful. Absolutely. Highly recommend. I've been bragging about it because it's in digital format. It's not in collected. I really wish they would have that album format in English.
Uh-huh.
I would be the first one to triple dipper, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I can't seem to find it in English versions.
Yeah, that's crummy. Yeah.
In print, especially if it's like he said, if it's as popular as they say, where is he saying that? It's as popular as it is in France as Black Sabbath. That's big. So
That's
it's definitely
huge,
gonna
man.
be
That's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be printed in English, hopefully. I
Yeah.
mean, in the paper format, hopefully. Yeah. So yeah,
crazy.
absolutely. All right, people. 2 hours, 16 minutes. I think that's enough of us blabbing. Terry's about to fall asleep. He doesn't have any more rum to him to keep up his sugar levels.
Yeah, no, I'm crashing. I'm having a sugar crash. I drank that bottle of rum is gone, so it's
Oh wow.
I didn't drink the whole thing. Sorry.
Yeah.
I couldn't exaggerate, but yeah.
Anyway. So thank you, people. Next one it will be on the Cracks channel, Mr. Crackety Cock. Anyway, so thank you for sticking around, talking a lot. He's listening in the background. Very good. Thank you very much. If you want to come and chat with us, please let us know.
Yeah, absolutely, Donald. You're always welcome.
Yeah. And yeah, so see you guys. Have a lovely
Later.
rest of your Sunday. Or like me, going to sleepy buys.
Yeah.
Bye.